rice and potatoes at. Let's be perfectly honest, right? If you're going to compare eating a Twinkie to eating a potato, like choose the potato. The
For sure.
potato is going to be better for you, right?
Yeah.
But then I laugh because it's like, all right, look at how many calories a Twinkie is, and then compare it to the same amount of calories, but in broccoli. You'd
It's
probably have
like
to eat like 3
the
cups or
the
4 cups
mound
of
of
broccoli.
broccoli is
Yeah.
like this high. It's like huge. It's
You'd
massive.
have to eat 4 cups of broccoli for like
Yeah.
one tiny little Twinkie. And
It's
it's just
wild.
like,
Welcome to the Unrelenting Pressure Podcast with your hosts, Ryan and Hunter.
Hello.
hey.
What's up, Brian?
What's
How you
going
doing?
on, buddy? Long
Oh,
time
yeah.
no talk.
Living the dream.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one. Yeah, what's been going on, man? How's your move been? I know that you moved
Good.
recently and you're trying to adjust to that new life and lifestyle. You've been
Yeah.
able to go to the gym consistently?
Yeah, I have been. So, we just recap of it, right? I've been living at the shore, moved down to just outside of Philly, and gotten an apartment that's in like one of those, kind of like planned apartment facilities where they got the pool and the gym on site and pool tables, all that kind of stuff. So it's been good though. Been a lot closer to a big social circle of friends. A lot more like kind of like networking in that type of way, playing golf a lot, doing those kind of things, and
Nice, that's
more
awesome.
about like what's going on. You know what I mean? Like when you're around it in proximity wise, you hear more about those casual events, I'd say, or opportunities that come up. So it's been fun. It's been a good start. Gym wise, the gym here is pretty good. It doesn't have like free barbells, which is a struggle of it a bit.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. That sucks.
Yeah. So it's just like a Smith machine. But then they got, dumbbells that go up to anything that I'd be, playing with anyway. And then a couple of cables and stuff like that. And so I've been getting good workouts. I started doing Mike Mentzer's heavy duty workout, if you've heard of that one.
No, what is
Mike Mentzer.
What's like the methodology behind it?
It's
Is
like
it just
the original,
heavyweight?
it's like the original HIIT workouts. So like high intensity ones. So, Mike Mentzer, he was kind of like of the classic era of bodybuilding, right? And he was a little bit more 80s than Arnold or so. But right, so like Arnold was the father of it, right? And he was always high volume type of guy, right?
Yeah.
High volume. And then pretty much everybody copied what he did. And for the most part still do nowadays with high volume training, right? That's like the most common, I'd say, amongst bodybuilding. Mike Mentzer was the kind of other end of that spectrum where it's low volume, but extreme intensity, right? So every set is to failure, but you're only doing 1 or 2 sets per exercise. And then you're only working out like 2 to 4 times a week, essentially. So it's kind of like an upper lower split to a degree. So like workout A is legs and then chest and triceps. So like not exactly upper lower, but it's split up into that. And then workout B is back, biceps and shoulders. So you kind of cover it that way. But it's been fun. And you do a day between them. So you do, workout Monday, skip, workout Wednesday, A-B like that, and you flip on.
Yeah. It's good to play around with that kind of stuff because honestly, one of my favorite things to do, like I'm doing my workout right now, which is awesome, and I love it. And I know I sent you the spreadsheet, and I sent a bunch of people a spreadsheet, and I got some really good feedback. Some people are super fired up about it, so that gets me excited because I've spent a lot of time like really refining this spreadsheet. But one workout that I like to go back to every now and again is almost exactly that. So doing 2 sets, both till failure. The one, and you can scale it however you want to, but usually my rule of thumb is I like to warm up however many sets that takes, right? And then I pick whatever that first set is. I try to make it so that whatever that 10th rep is, I'm like barely getting that 10th rep. So pick a weight that 10th one, you're like done. And then the second set, however long of a break you want to take, maybe like 2 minutes, that should be adequate enough. And then pick that same weight. And if you picked a good weight on the first set, if you take that same weight on the second set, you're only going to get 5. So you're going to like true, complete failure. And honestly, that's all you need. It's not good to do every once in a while because it will crush your central nervous system. But man, to like really push yourself, and if you're doing 10 reps, it's not like you're maxing out. So you're not gonna, you are at risk of hurting yourself because you're going to failure, but like not as extreme if you're doing just one
2, 3
maximal
reps,
rep, right?
Sure.
So it's usually a pretty safe range. And then you just take that same exact weight. You don't even add any more weight and you just do it again. And you will see some really good gains from that. It's a really awesome workout.
Do you do like the Myoreps that, who's the guy?
Mike Israel?
Before, he's a YouTube dude.
More plates, more dates?
No, no, not him. He's like
Renaissance
the professor. Yeah. So he talks about like Myoreps is his kind of thing. So they're basically rest pauses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do the weight, you do 10, and then the next set you do 5, right? In your example, right? Max you can possibly do is 5 with that same weight. And then you take a little mini pause and then you do another couple with that energy you got back. And then you do a little pause and you do another couple until you get back to 10. And then he'll do like 3 or 4 sets of that, right? So it's like once you get up to like your working set amount, right? You can only do 10 with this weight. Every set after, you're still getting to 10 reps, but it's in shorter, little chunks because you just physically can't do them. So that's cool. He calls them like mini sets to failure. A bunch of
that's
things.
Interesting. I've done something similar to that when I would do like leg press, and I would have someone like assisting me when I would do them, and I would do that exact same thing, right? I think I would up my numbers for leg press, so I'd do like a set of 20 to failure, and then I would do like a set of 10 to failure, and then after that 10th one, I would time 30 seconds, and then I would do like 3, 4, 5 forced reps with someone like assisting me through it, and then rack it, wait 30 seconds, and then do that same thing. So kind of a similar thing. The only problem is, and I've been telling a lot of guys in the gym, because I know I told you, but I'm like mentoring like 3 or 4 kids in the gym at this point, which is fun. And it's very rewarding for me. I have a lot of fun. I guess I've got like 15 years worth of knowledge built up in this head, so I might as well give it to somebody.
Right.
But
personal trainers got less than that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But I was telling these kids the other day, I was just like, when I was young, I would push like really hard through a lot of that. And now that I'm older, I'm starting to like notice little details of when I like overtrain or overwork myself. And I would still get to that same point when I was younger, but I wasn't aware of it and I wouldn't feel it. But like now that I'm older, I'm way more aware of my body. So I can tell like, all right, I pushed way too hard in that workout and I'm still recovering 2 or 3 days later. And I'm just more aware and I can tell when these things are happening. So like if I were to do the workout that we were just saying of doing those 3 or 4 reps to failure, like unless you gave yourself adequate time to recover, like I would probably just end up driving myself into the ground and just getting super beat up and probably hurt myself. So you have to be very aware of like your recovery. You have to make sure you're eating enough food, you're getting enough sleep, you're not super stressed, and you have to be way more dialed in on that shit. And like you should always be dialed in if you want the most gains from your workout. But doing those like multiple sets to failure, those add up really quick. And you can definitely go too far in a workout. So that'd probably be my only watch out. But I would say there's an asterisk next to that because most people don't know how to push themselves at all. So most people would never actually get to that point. But I'm saying like if you are consistently going to the gym and you are able to push up into the upper threshold, like you do have to watch out because you can definitely start to overtrain. And it just like, a whole other story is like, what are you training for, right? For me, at this point, and I'm going to assume the same for you, like you're training to be healthy, look good, and feel good, right? So just is it worth crushing yourself into the ground and not recover and potentially hurt yourself? Like probably not. Definitely push yourself, go to failure, but like leave some in the tank so that way you're not, completely crushed the next day.
Yeah, it depends, right? So, with the high volume training too, right? Those are, you look at a lot of the workouts these days, especially like Jeff Nippard, right? A lot of his, you don't go to failure. Like you never go to failure, right? There's always like 2, maybe 3 reps in reserve that you're doing, which I'm sure there's science behind that. And I was watching somebody else who was talking about, it was Renaissance periodization actually again too. That he was talking about Mike Mentzer specifically in the workout that I'm doing. And it's just fun though to go to failure. Like it is, you know what I mean? Just like the intensity of it. It's just a fun time. Like you're quivering and all that. Like,
can I hit timeout?
That was bad advice. Sorry.
No, I agree. I love going to failure, but it's just funny because like we sound like psychopaths. Because what person, and I think about this a lot, to be perfectly honest with you, but like what person willingly like tortures themselves and puts themselves in so much pain for kind of nothing?
Yeah, exactly. Even like the acknowledgement of too, like this might not even be the best thing for me, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it anyway. It's especially funny in that context too, because it's like this activity is supposed to be all good for me. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna put that aside a little bit because it's just fun to push yourself so hard.
I agree, but it's a small subset of people that are able to do that. Because like if you really think about it, who would, if you're thinking about it from like a biological standpoint, like who would willingly go and torture themselves and physically put themselves in the pain where they break their muscles down? Like, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
Obviously, whole host of benefits for doing it, but it's just like if you're really thinking about it, like you're literally going in and torturing yourself every single day. Like, why would you willingly do this to yourself?
Yeah.
But yeah,
doesn't make sense, right?
To that point, like through that like pain and suffering, that's how you get better. That's how you get stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And like that's literally what it is. You're breaking down the muscles so that they can be like come back bigger and stronger. But it's just funny to think of the psychological battle. Just like I can't tell you how many times like I'd be warming up, running a mile in the morning, and for some reason, I guess I'm a psychopath. I just start running faster and faster every single lap, and it gets to the point where I'm just like, stop being a little bitch, just go. Like, why are you holding back? Like, just go faster and faster. And it's just like, if someone was looking at me, they'd be like, why is this dude sprinting around the track? Like, why would he physically do this to himself? And I don't know. Just my brain starts going and I can't freaking out myself.
That's funny. That is the classic, like running wise too. That's the classic runner's trap, right? It's like, I have to make 7 minutes, right? Like say even like something as basic as just like walking, right? Like doing like 130 heartbeat, walking range, right? Just burning fat or something. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to do 8 minutes. And then you approach 8 minutes and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't a half a mile. So I'm going to do it until I get to a half a mile. And then once you get to the half a mile, you're like, well, now I'm at 9 minutes and, 70 or 57 seconds. So I got to get it to a solid number. And then you just keep on going back and forth like that until you ended up on there for 25 minutes and 1.5 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I remember I was talking to, which I think is funny, but I think it's a testament to like how far can you push yourself mentally? Because it's just as much as a mental test as it is a physical test.
Yeah.
Right. It goes both ways. And I think that's really, for me, I think it's more the mental side. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently too. And I don't know if I told you this, but I've somehow figured a way to like leverage workouts, which is more on the physical side, for the mental benefit of it. Because I leverage like becoming super focused and like having to push yourself physically when you don't want to do it. And like a lot of those things I leverage into my personal life because, I told you I'm a lazy piece of shit and I know that. And I can guarantee you I would sit around all day and do absolutely nothing. But I use the gym to like hone in my focus, hone in like that momentum. And then that's what carries me through the day. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that. Like the gym has just helped me in so many different ways. But anyway, the story I was going to say is I hopped on the Stairmaster. And to that point, I would just be like, all right, you're not going hard enough. Like, click it up. And I keep increasing the speed. And then, I don't know, I did it for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I hopped off and I'm like dying. I'm like, and then my one buddy walks over and he's just like, dude, what are you doing? Trying to kill yourself? And I'm like, imagine if I could push so hard past like my lungs burning and my legs being on fire that like I killed myself. Like my lungs just exploded and my legs exploded. Sure. Just like how crazy mental strong do you need to be able to do that? Now, I don't think that anyone could ever do that because I feel like you tap out before that happened. But like, how insane would that be if you could?
I mean, people do that, right? And like in the extreme situations, right?
Sometimes,
like, mother lifting the babies and stuff like that. Like you do mind over matter for self-preservation, right? Or like, POWs, like all that kind of stuff, like those extreme moments, although it's not fitness specific, your mind pushes you well over your physical limits, to your detriment too, right? Like, and people die or their muscles come off of the bone and all that kind of shit. So
yeah, I just remember thinking like, how incredible would it be if I could actually push myself to do that? Now, I don't think that I can, and I don't think many people can. So it's just like, what if I just tried as hard as I could to get there? You know what I mean? But I feel like it's just more that mental battle and having that mental fortitude of being able to push yourself that far. I don't think it can happen. I don't think I would ever like fall off the Stairmaster and like my legs, my quadriceps literally fall off of my femur and my lungs explode out of my chest. Like that's not going to happen. Like you know what I mean?
You pass out, all right. You can push yourself to like.
Yeah, you could pass out
for sure.
But I wouldn't die.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess not directly, right? If you passed out, you probably knock your head,
hit my head,
and then maybe die in that scenario. But yeah, not like straight up in a vacuum die just because your lungs exploded.
Yeah,
it'd be insane. They would probably put your picture like on the gym wall and be like, "Yeah, how hard we work out? We work out this."
Well, my joke is, it's for the Stairmaster and it's also like for squatting or something too. Yeah. And I keep telling all my friends at the gym, I'm like, just mark my chalk line on the ground, like wherever my body lies, and say like, here lies Ryan. Like he tried to squat the entire gym and he died. Yeah. He died trying. And just like, listen, okay, if that's what my gravestone says is he tried to lift this entire goddamn gym and he didn't do it, but goddamn it, he tried. And I'm okay with that being my memoir and my chalk line. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Right? Here lies Ryan. He pushed himself so fucking hard, his lungs exploded on the Stairmaster. Like, boom, chalk line. I'm cool with that. If that's how I die, like, so fucking be it, right? Or I think the other one is like, here dies Ryan. He tried to deadlift the entire fucking world. Yeah. Boom, chalk line. I'm cool with that.
It's more interesting than like loving mother or like, beloved husband or something like that, right?
I mean, listen, if there's a way that I'm gonna go out, it better be at the gym trying to deadlift a stupid amount of weight, and that's how I go. I'm okay with it. If that's how I die, it's fine.
It's just such like a gym bro kind of thing.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but if it does, I'm okay with it. I'll live with it.
Like, how do you want to die? I want to die under, and wait until I finish it, under 225 pounds of weight. I was like, why so light? Because I'm like 74 years old and I'm still trying to squat 225 pounds or something, right? Like, and that's a lot at that time.
Listen, man, there's some strong old people out there.
There are.
And some people don't start lifting until they're way older, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. What I do want to know is, how has your diet been recently? I know you moved to a new environment. Sometimes it's hard to get that schedule and that diet like locked in. When you're in your routine, it's just natural, right? But now that you moved, like, have you noticed your diet's falling off? You're eating out a little bit more, anything like that?
Definitely eating out more, 100% eating out more.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
And unfortunately drinking a bit more too, just because the social aspect of it. So I'm going to have
now you're around all your friends, right? And it's way easier to go out.
Way easier. And my friends are drinkers too. And even just casual. Like I played volleyball last night, right? I'm doing a volleyball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is great. And, then we went out for a couple of drinks last night, right? Which fucking snowballs because the game was at 9:15, so it didn't even finish until like something. And then we went and got a couple drinks, and then by the time I was home, it was midnight, and so it just messes up the sleep too. So it'll take some recalibrating, overall.
I was very about to say.
Generally, diet's been good. Working from home really helps that out. So I've been able to prep very well lately. I got a couple of new appliances, like a one pot. So
nice.
Prepping at rice, it's back to what I was doing before at the shore, which is good. And I came down with a shit ton of my meat. My freezer's full of chicken, beef, yada yada.
Oh, good stuff. So you didn't have to like completely stock a freezer.
No, exactly. So and that was one of my big things. Was like I want to be able to bring a lot with me, so I'm not starting from scratch. Even like some small appliances that I was able to bring with to just make it more of an easy and comfortable transition type of deal. So far so good. I've been starting to track a little bit again, on my FitnessPal, just to make sure I'm getting most of my macros right, staying above 200 grams of protein and around 2,600 calories, just at basic maintenance right now. So I've kept my weight where I've pretty much wanted to keep it in maintenance for the past 3 or 4 months. I'm still around 175, 176 this morning, 176.6 this morning.
Good stuff, man. Yeah. So, I mean, that you know, we talked about this. The diet's the hardest freaking part because you work out for 1 or 2 hours out of the day. You got another 23 or 22 hours that you got to dial your diet in. And that's the hardest part. So, yeah, I mean, you've always eaten pretty good anyway. You weren't really like a junk food guy. I mean, besides eating out, but it's just like, when you go out, there's still healthy options. I mean, you know, my crutch is I freaking love cheeseburgers. So anytime I go out, I get cheeseburgers and French fries. I can't help myself. It's okay. I'll live with it.
I don't do any of that. Like, you know, when I go out to eat, it's to like an Italian restaurant or, you know, for sushi pasta or something like that, right? And then it's just like a one meal. Maybe I'll eat out 3 meals max on the whole week. So I'm like, all right, you balance that out against what? If I'm eating 4 or 5 meals a day, 7 days a week, otherwise, or around 35 other meals, like that's not that bad of a ratio. And those other meals are clean meals. You know, they're really high in protein, a decent amount of carbs, and like healthy fats. I haven't really gone about cutting down carbs or fats much. I kind of just eat whatever fits, but make sure my protein is real high. So that's been okay.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kept me.
That's a pretty good rule of thumb, is making sure your protein's high, and then it's really just the carbs. Like, you can always cut carbs out if you need to, but it's just like that's the one where I feel like people should be more focused on. And I told you this, but my biggest thing is like just cut out processed food. And that was the biggest reason why I lost like 20 pounds when I was cutting this past spring. Was, you know, I was eating a lot of food. I was probably eating like 3,000 calories a day. But I was eating like all whole food. So lots of grapes, lots of blueberries, lots of strawberries, lots of broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and like that's all my meals were. And then chicken, steak, salmon, fish, so on and so forth.
It's hard to do though, man. Like eating.
I eat so much food.
They're just not like calorie dense. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of volume. Which, if you're looking to lose weight, it's a great way to do it, right? Like eat a shit ton of vegetables is like the easiest thing. Like forget about keto and all the other different diets there. Like if you need to cut calories and you even don't want to think about it and you want to feel satiated, eat a shit ton of fucking vegetables. You're never going to overeat. If you replace your like starchy carbs with vegetables, you're golden.
Well, yeah, like cutting like rice and potatoes out. Like, let's be perfectly honest, right? If you're going to compare eating a Twinkie to eating a potato, like choose the potato. The potato is going to be better for you, right? Yeah. But then I laugh because it's like, all right, look at how many calories a Twinkie is, and then compare it to the same amount of calories, but in broccoli. You probably have to eat like 3 cups or 4 cups of broccoli.
Like this high, it's like huge. It's massive.
You'd have to eat 4 cups of broccoli for like one tiny little Twinkie, and it's just like, if you could just cut that crap out, man. Potato chips are the worst, because if you look, it's like 7 potato chips. You know, like a tiny little stack, and it's like 4 cups of broccoli.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. Rice is a sneaky one. I think people have really like glorified rice as a healthy option, which I think it is. But if your point is to not consume or to eat in a deficit, rather, you can't really eat rice because it's really dense with calories. Easy to process, good for you, but it just doesn't fit your goal. So I mean, I think one of the obvious things too, right? People always swap rice from during a bulk over to potatoes during a cut, right? Because potatoes are really high satiating, but they're a lot less in carbs. So they have a really high satiation on the scale as compared to other simple or complex carbs. So.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that. I'm aligned with that. But I even tried to go further than that. So like I told you during my cut, I did no potatoes. I would just do double veggie. So a lot of my meals would just be like, which I know I eat a lot, but like 10 to 15 ounces of chicken or steak or whatever. And then I would do like 2 cups of green beans and then an avocado and a banana. And like, that was my meal. A whole avocado, a whole banana.
Well, avocado's a lot, man. That's like probably like 450 calories in just one thing. Right?
So
like
delicious.
A whole avocado, that's a lot.
It's so good. Yeah, I love avocado. So I had no problem just cramming that thing down. But yeah, I mean, that was honestly, that's a pretty standard meal for me. I would do like big helping of protein, and I still don't do any of the carbs. I mean, I probably should, considering I'm lifting like pretty heavy and pretty hard right now. I was thinking about adding some carbs in, but it'd just be big serving of protein, double veggie, which I still do for the most part. And then, avocado, banana, maybe some fruit. And then I told you, like, that would be when I'm at work. And then when I'd come home before dinner, I would snack on celery and hummus, which was freaking awesome. I freaking love hummus. And then which I have to tell you about it, but I'm going to try to get through everything that I eat. And then we'd usually snack on that, maybe some grapes or something. And then for dinner, we'd do the HelloFresh. So I kind of left it up in the air. The only thing that sucked about the HelloFresh was their protein servings are tiny.
It's tiny as fuck, man.
Freaking sucks. But I mean, they're good. And I tried not to be super strict because they're such small portions. Like they weigh them out. So you're only getting like 1,200 calories per thing, right? But I would always supplement it with some extra protein or extra veggie.
I would do that too, right? You just have some extra chicken, you just throw it into, right? And that's why chicken breast is so good, you know.
Yeah.
And, leave the Hollywood idiots aside when they're like, oh yeah, I've just been eating chicken and broccoli all day. Everybody knows it's bullshit. You're taking a bunch of shit on top of that. But chicken breast is such a good addition to everything, right? Because it's so protein dense and there's basically nothing else in it. So you can just eat like 4 or 5 forkfuls of chicken and you're like, all right, I just got in 35 grams of protein. Like it's so quick. You can get through like chicken breast. It's a great ad.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this, but this just in right now. Hunter sucks. No, but
are you big Hollywood? Is that why you didn't like me shitting on them?
I have no clue what you're even saying, but I wanted to bring up what I was trying to say as I was saying basically my entire diet was I was listening to this really good podcast, which I can put in the podcast notes, but it was basically saying that the order of how you eat your food could matter on how much your insulin spikes.
Yeah,
which is super interesting.
Really?
So it was saying that if you eat like fibrous food like celery or lettuce or anything that's high in fiber, it coats your the lining of your intestines so that when you eat starchy food, it doesn't absorb and spike your insulin level really fast. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that's super duper interesting. And I was just like, maybe that's why I had a really successful time cutting weight during the spring, because before I would eat like dinner or when I'd get home from work and I would eat the hummus, I would use the celery and I would just chow through so much celery. Yeah. And I'm like, that could make sense that I was eating so much fiber and it was just preventing that glucose spike. And I was like, wow, super interesting.
That is really interesting. Right. So what's it go? Like you're supposed to eat your vegetables on your plate first, then your fats and proteins.
Yep.
And then the carbs at the end.
Yep.
I have been focused on that to a degree. Now, I don't know if I've noticed something, but it's hard to notice if your glycemic index is high or like you have an insulin, you know what I mean?
You need a continuous glucose monitor, which if they weren't expensive, I would dabble around with it because it would just be nice to I'm not exactly sure, but I think they're a couple $100. I just don't feel like spending a couple $100, but it would just be super interesting to get like a baseline knowledge of like, all right, where do I stand if I eat food? Like, does it jump a lot? If I eat just like chicken, does it jump a lot? It could, it could not, you know what I mean? And just kind of get a feel for like, all right, when I eat these foods, like these specifically make my sugar go like through the roof. Right. So try to counteract that or change the order or something. But one thing that I've been really aware of and actually really trying to implement into my days is after I eat lunch, going for a walk. So that way you're walking and you're keeping your insulin spike a little bit lower. Not that I eat like that much food, but like yesterday for this week, I made a boneless, skinless chicken breast and just season it with salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika. That's pretty standard for me. Sure. And then I got Brussels sprouts. So I cooked the Brussels sprouts with a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic.
Right.
And I took that. I got a tortilla wrap, throw the tortilla wrap in the pan, give it a flip, toast it up a little bit, put just like a tiny bit of mayonnaise, some Mexican cheese down on top of that. And then I added chicken, the Brussels sprouts, and I chopped up a tomato and then rolled that sucker up into a burrito. It was so freaking good. But I had the tortilla shell, which obviously is processed, which is my number one no. But I love burritos, so I don't think I'll ever give up tortilla shells. Yeah. But, especially when I'm eating like starchy food, I try to like get out immediately with the dog and go for a walk to try to keep that spike just a little bit lower. Yeah. I don't know if you'll notice a like noticeable difference, but just something I've been aware of and I've been trying to keep track of.
That's good. Yeah. Flour tortillas are really dense Really dense.
Yeah, they are.
With calories. It's a sneaky one.
They are delicious, though.
They are delicious.
If I could eat everything in burrito form, I probably would. I'm being serious, too.
I ate a burrito this morning, actually. So that's fine.
What did you do?
I ate a burrito this morning, so that's cool.
Oh, breakfast burrito?
No, it was a regular burrito. I don't really abide by like use only certain foods that you should eat at certain times of the day. I basically just eat whatever throughout the entire day.
I mean, there's no one saying that you can't eat steak and potatoes for breakfast. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I have leftovers, I do it all the freaking time.
Yeah, right. And it does, it's not like your body eats them differently, right? And we all know Big Breakfast was a scam, made up in the 60s anyway. So I don't buy.
All right, well, now you got to tell me, where was the burrito from and what kind of burrito?
Oh, it wasn't anything special. It was chicken. It was like a chicken cilantro and like whole wheat wrap burrito with like black beans in it. But it was just like a frozen burrito. Like I got like this big pack from Costco type of deal. That's just a filler type of thing. But I mean, it's clean. There's not a
yeah. Someone was telling me that like you could like making burritos, wrapping them up and putting them in the freezer hold really well. Which I've never tried to do. Do you?
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, and I was just like, I should really try doing that because number one, I love burritos.
Yeah.
And then number two, if I can have something that's just like easy, ready to go, eat with your hands, grab and go.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be freaking awesome. Because right now, like I cut up all the chicken into pieces, but I just have a Tupperware container, so I still need to use like a fork and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I've got a couple things to that vein. One, the burrito thing. So I used to do, especially bulking wise. You do ground beef or you can do chicken, right? You do that, taco seasoning. And then once you finish all that, you do a bunch of Greek yogurt into it. So like while it's hot, right, throw Greek yogurt in there, some super low fat cheese, and you just melt that all together. And then you roll up burritos with it and freeze it just like that. That's a really solid one. I mean, like those things, you could fucking get like 60 grams of protein in them and like 500 calories at least in a burrito, and just freeze them all up and just have them good to go. The only problem is that you don't get to do, lettuce and stuff like that in them because that doesn't freeze well. But
yeah, that wouldn't freeze too well. Yeah, but I mean, like, I think it's worth the sacrifice of missing out on lettuce so that you get something that's like tastes really good, high in protein, generally healthy, and grab and go, right? Eat with your hands. I think that's the biggest thing is just eat with your hands.
Yeah, and it's the filler too, right? Like it's like when you don't have time to make a full-fledged meal, or it's obviously a lot better than skipping a meal, right? And just missing your macro and your intake there. Full on.
Yeah, I've been trying to. So I would rebuttal that a little bit because I've been trying to be more flexible. Where it's just like, if I don't have anything readily available, I don't have time. It's just like instead of grabbing like a processed protein bar, right, or grabbing some kind of like junk food, just like no, I'll just fast through this time, and just trying to be flexible that way because I feel like it's so easy to get addicted to food, and especially when you grab like very calorically dense foods,
right?
I feel like it's good to like separate yourself from that. And I feel like there's something was making me think of this recently because, I had like a barbecue for the wife last weekend, the weekend before. And I can't help myself. So I just ate like so much food.
Sure.
And then I found myself during the week, like I'm not hungry, but I just want to like eat food because food makes feel good, releases dopamine, right?
Sure.
I'm like, I just got to break away from that. And it's like literally like got addicted to it and had to like physically try to like separate myself from like, you're not hungry. You don't need to eat food. Like just skip this meal. You're fine.
Yeah.
Also,
it depends on how you, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's also another side to it, which is like you're supposed to be metabolically flexible. You should be able to switch between using glucose for energy and then using ketones for energy.
Are you able to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to flip back and forth between the two. And I remember, I don't remember where I read it somewhere, but it was basically saying that like a lot of people, because they've eaten 3 meals a day their entire life, they've never had to switch over to ketones, which happens when you start fasting and you start going into ketosis, right? Yeah. So some people can't switch over. They can't switch over to ketones. You should be able to switch between the two like fairly quickly. And if you needed to, like, because your brain does like using ketones, so it should switch over to it. But if you haven't done it for 15 or 20 years, like it's really hard to get your body to switch over. So that's why I know I told you, but I told the one guy at the gym who I'm mentoring, like just try doing a 48-hour fast because number one, it's hard. You just don't need to put food in your mouth, but also to give your metabolism the ability to switch back into using ketones, which it hasn't done in forever.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that it's quick that it can be quick to change back and forth between them. So I had done, or we talked about, like, I did carnivore for a few months type of deal. So, and I would, and carnivore is basically keto, right? So I would test with like those keto strips, right, to see if I'm in ketosis. And I noticed that I would fairly quickly drop out of it, and then it would take a long time to kind of get back into it, like a day or two. I've noticed, like, to get to like a substantial amount of it. Now, could probably be attributed to the accuracy of using keto strips and all that kind of stuff, but I hadn't heard that, so that's interesting. It makes sense,
The timeline matters, right? Because like, if you're expecting to switch over to like ketosis or switch over to ketones in like 12 hours, probably not going to happen. But if it's 24 hours, I think right at that 24-hour mark, you might start switching over to ketones.
That's a good point. And it depends if you ate anything during that time period, right? So
anything, any kind of sugar or what have you. But if you're doing like when I was doing it, well, mine, as much as I did the 96-hour fast, I took pre-workout because I went to the gym every single morning. And then the only other thing that I had besides that was I was taking those LMNT electrolyte packets, which those have 0 calories. So it was just salt.
Right.
So, I mean, it was really just pre-workout first thing in the morning.
Huh.
Yeah, but good. Challenging. I recommend doing it. It's a different kind of challenge, right? Because pushing, like when you're running and you're trying to run like a 6-minute mile, like yes, mentally you're pushing yourself, and physically you have to like push yourself to go harder. But this one was a different kind of challenge because it's like, no, don't do anything. Just have the willpower to not put food in your mouth. And interesting, because you'll see your mind starts going to all these weird places and coming up with every excuse of why you need to go pick up some Doritos and shove them in your mouth. And it's just like, no, I don't need Doritos. I'm actually not hungry. Like, you can survive for up to 50 days without eating. And the longest person to survive without eating food was like 380 days. Granted, they were a very, very large individual. They were very large. But still, case in point, like, you can go a pretty long time without eating food. Will you feel well? No, your body goes into recovery mode because it needs to be as efficient as it can with everything that it has in your body. So you go into like hyper efficient, like survival mode, but also it flushes out like your system and gets rid of a lot of toxins and all the garbage that's in there.
And fat, toxins get stuck in fat, right? Like, we all know that. So being able to flush that occasionally is cool. That makes me think of, do you ever hear of people doing like bloodletting essentially occasionally for the same concept of like flushing, so you get new blood, you generate new blood, right? So like somebody will go donate blood, right? You go to the clinic or some blood drive and you'll donate whatever the proper amount to donate is. But people will do that just so that, or like, the big focus of it is so that you make new blood to replace that. And it's kind of like a refresh in a type of way. I don't know. I just started hearing about it, so I don't know much about it, but I just started hearing people do that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. That one hasn't popped up on my radar, but I mean, I hate needles, so I never give blood. I can't freaking stand it. So listen, doing a fast, all for it. Giving people my blood or taking blood out just for the fun of it, no, 0% chance that happens.
Some people do it hardcore. I know, like enhanced people too, or like doing, a lot of PEDs and stuff. They'll do it like themselves, which is intense. So like they'll literally have a bag and just like straight up needle themselves and then let out whatever it is, a liter of blood or less than that, whatever it is.
Gross.
For that,
so many levels.
It's wild. And then, but like, what do you do with it after that point, right? It feels really wrong to just like pour blood down the drain or like put it in the toilet or throw it out. It just feels, I don't know, illegal to me.
I mean, that's a really good question. I'm sure it's technically a biohazard in a sense, right? Because you could potentially have blood diseases that could be transferred to other people. So
and if you put it in the water supply, right? Like all of our water gets treated, right? Like it's not like water gets dumped in. I mean, no matter where it goes, like dumped in the ocean, whatever it is, like it's going somewhere. right?
We are not trained professionals with what you do with your blood after let it out. We need to put that disclaimer in there.
We do need to put that disclaimer in there. I forgot about that. We do talk a lot.
I am not educated at all on that. I have absolutely no clue.
It's an interesting thing. Why will people will do?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if anyone is listening to us, hopefully they don't just start taking blood out for the fun.
Yeah, don't do that. And then, if you read into it, let us know what you learned. Right?
Yeah, that's probably the better side of it. But all right, buddy, I think this is a good place to wrap up for today. Yeah. This is a good conversation. It was good catching up. It was good hearing about your transition to your new area of living and your workout and whatnot. So it was a good conversation.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Fun catching up. All right, we'll do it again.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Yeah, man.